Question 561. If a salesperson resigns or is discharged by his broker, the broker must return the license certificate of the salesperson within A. 3 business days, B. 10 business days, C. 1 month, D. A calendar year. Correct answer is A. 3 business days. When a salesperson-broker relationship ends, regulations often require the broker to return the salesperson's license certificate to the issuing authority within a specific timeframe. 3 business days is a common timeframe mandated by many states. When a salesperson becomes employed by a broker, the commissioner must be notified within 5 days. Question 562. Once an option contract has been agreed upon, the following parties can decide whether to exercise the option. A. Optionee, B. Optioner, C. Both A and BD broker. Correct answer is A. Optionee. An option contract gives the optionee the exclusive right, but not the requirement, to purchase or lease a particular property. This right is valid for a specific period and at agreed-upon price and terms. The optionee alone holds the decision to proceed with the transaction within that timeframe. They can choose to go through with the purchase or lease, or they can let the option expire. The optioner, the seller or lessor, is obligated to sell or lease if the optionee chooses to exercise their right. They do not have the choice to decide whether the option is exercised. Question 563. A deed would be void if A. Conveyed by a person in prison for robbery, B. Conveyed by a 17-year-old, C. Forged, in the possession of a purchaser for value, D. All of the above. Correct answer is C. Forged, in the possession of a purchaser for value. A person's imprisonment for a crime does not automatically render them legally incompetent to convey property. Unless they have been legally declared incompetent by a court, they generally retain the right to buy, sell, and own property. In most states, including California, a 17-year-old is considered a minor and lacks the legal capacity to enter into binding contracts, including the conveyance of real property. Such a deed is typically voidable by the minor. That's meaning the minor can choose to disaffirm the transfer, but it's not necessarily void from the outset. A forged deed is void, meaning it is invalid from its inception. It has no legal effect, even if it is subsequently transferred to a good faith purchaser who paid value for the property and had no knowledge of the forgery. The chain of title is broken at the point of the forgery. Therefore, a deed is void if it is forged, regardless of who subsequently possesses it or whether they paid value for it. The lack of genuine grantor consent in a forgery makes the deed legally non-existent. Question 564. A subordination clause in a trust deed usually benefits the most. A. The truster, B. The beneficiary, C. The trustee, D. All the parties benefit equally. Correct answer is A. The truster. The subordination clause makes it easier for the truster, borrower, to obtain a new loan on their property. By agreeing to allow a new lender to take a senior lien position, the existing lender enables the truster to access additional funds. This could be for various reasons beneficial to the truster, such as 1. Refinancing, obtaining a new first mortgage with better terms. 2. Home improvement loans, securing funds to increase the property's value. 3. Second mortgages or HELOCs, accessing equity for other needs. Although a new lender gains priority with a senior lien, the subordination clause is essentially an agreement by the original lender to take a lower lien position. This concession primarily benefits the truster, borrower, by enabling them to obtain additional financing against their property that would likely not be possible otherwise. The clause facilitates the truster's access to new loans. Without the subordination, the truster might not be able to get the new loan on terms that work for them. Question 565. If a real estate broker does not sign the purchase agreement in the appropriate place, then A. The seller does not have to pay the broker's commission. B. The broker will automatically have his license suspended. C. The agreement is voidable by either party. D. The agreement is still valid. Correct answer is D. The agreement is still valid. The primary purpose of the purchase agreement is to establish the terms of the sale between the buyer and the seller. The real estate broker's signature on the purchase agreement, while often included, is typically there to acknowledge their role in the transaction and to establish the agreement for their commission. The validity of the purchase agreement between the buyer and seller is generally not contingent on the broker's signature. The essential elements for a valid real estate contract are offer, acceptance, consideration, legal capacity of the parties, and a lawful purpose. The broker's signature is not one of these fundamental requirements for the contract to be binding between the buyer and seller. Such a failure to sign does not invalidate the purchase agreement or automatically result in the broker forfeiting his commission. Question 566. Information from a Chapter 7 bankruptcy are kept on credit records for A. 5 years, B. 7 years, C. 10 years, D. Forever. Correct answer is C. 10 years. Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcy are the two main types of personal bankruptcy available in the United States, but they operate very differently. 1. Chapter 7 bankruptcy, liquidation. This is often referred to as straight bankruptcy. It involves the liquidation of a debtor's non-exempt assets by a trustee, who then distributes the proceeds to creditors. The goal of Chapter 7 is to obtain a discharge of most unsecured debts, such as credit card debt, medical bills, and personal loans. There's a means test to qualify for Chapter 7, ensuring it's used by those with limited income. While it offers a relatively quick way to eliminate many debts, typically within 4-6 months, you may have to give up some of your assets. Chapter 7 remains on your credit report for 10 years. 2. Chapter 13 bankruptcy, reorganization. This is known as a wage earners plan or debt adjustment. Instead of liquidation, Chapter 13 allows debtors with a regular income to create a repayment plan to pay back a portion or all of their debts over a period of 3 to 5 years. You get to keep your assets, including your home and car, as long as you adhere to the repayment plan. Chapter 13 can be beneficial for those wanting to catch up on missed mortgage or car payments. It's a more structured and longer process than Chapter 7, and it stays on your credit report for 7 years. You must have a regular income to qualify for Chapter 13. Here's a breakdown of how long different types of negative information typically stay on credit reports under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, FCRA. 1. Chapter 7 bankruptcy. 10 years from the filing date. 2. Chapter 13 bankruptcy. 7 years from the filing date. 3. Most other negative information, late payments, defaults, etc. 7 years from the date of the original delinquency. 4. Public record information, lawsuits, judgments, etc. can vary, but often 7 years from the date of the action or until the statute of limitations expires, whichever is longer. 5. Criminal records generally do not appear on credit reports. 6. Positive credit history can remain indefinitely. Question 567. The secondary mortgage market refers to A. Minor market. B. Market not as profitable as the primary market. C. Market to buy and sell existing mortgages that are pooled together. D. Market for training mortgage brokers. Correct answer is C. Market to buy and sell existing mortgages that are pooled together. The secondary mortgage market is where previously originated mortgage loans are bought and sold. These loans are often bundled together into mortgage-backed securities, MBS, and sold to investors. This process provides liquidity to the primary mortgage market, where loans are initially made, allowing lenders to free up capital and issue more mortgages. The secondary mortgage market is a massive and crucial part of the overall financial system, not a minor market. Profitability can vary between primary and secondary mortgage markets depending on various economic factors. It's not accurate to say one is consistently less profitable than the other. The training of mortgage brokers occurs through licensing programs and on-the-job experience, not within the secondary mortgage market. Question 568. The agency confirmation statement must be A. Signed prior to or at the time the parties enter into a contract. B. A separate document than the purchase agreement. C. Recorded. D. All of the above. Correct answer is A. Signed prior to or at the time the parties enter into a contract. While it can be a separate document, the agency disclosure and confirmation can also be incorporated as a section within the purchase agreement itself. While it can be a separate document, the agency disclosure and confirmation can also be incorporated as a section within the purchase agreement itself. There isn't a strict requirement for it to always be a standalone document. The agency confirmation statement is generally not recorded. Recording is typically reserved for documents that affect title to real property. The agency disclosure pertains to the relationship between the parties and the agents involved in the transaction. California law mandates that the agency relationship disclosure and confirmation must be made prior to or at the time the parties enter into a contract, such as a purchase agreement or a lease. This ensures all parties are aware of whom the agents represent from the outset of their contractual relationship. Question 569. California's Fair Employment and Housing Act prohibits discrimination in all aspects of housing, except for housing specifically designed to accommodate A. Children. B. Senior citizens. C. Individuals with special needs. D. There are no exemptions from the Act. Correct answer is B. Senior citizens. California's Fair Employment and Housing Act, FEHA, prohibits discrimination in all aspects of housing. However, there are limited exemptions, primarily for housing specifically designed to accommodate senior citizens, provided it meets certain criteria under the law. These criteria often involve age restrictions and the provision of services tailored to older adults. This means that such housing can legally discriminate against families with children. Housing designed for children or individuals with special needs generally does not have broad exemptions from FEHA's anti-discrimination provisions. Question 570. Failing to perform as agreed upon under a contract is known as an A. Rescission. B. Novation. C. Breach. D. Redemption. Correct answer is C. Breach. Rescission is the cancellation of a contract, as if it never existed. It's a way to undo the agreement, not a failure to perform under it. Novation is the substitution of a new contract for an old one, or the substitution of a new party for an existing one in a contract, with the agreement of all involved. It's a way to modify or replace the original agreement, not a failure to perform it. In a real estate context, redemption typically refers to the right of a borrower to reclaim property after a foreclosure sale by paying the outstanding debt and costs. It's not related to the failure to perform contractual obligations in general. Breach of contract occurs when one or more parties to a valid contract fail to fulfill their obligations as outlined in the agreement. This can involve not performing a specific action, providing substandard performance, or failing to meet deadlines.